brain and the primate brain, which is, that's one lens to look at the brain in. And those therapists that work in that kind of phylogenetic or species development way, they get very hung up on you have to go through every stage. So I remember working with a boy who had a head injury, and he was working with one of these therapists, and I've become aware that groups take my flipness as disparaging or whatever interpretation. I'm just telling you what a difference. Whether I disparage this person or not, I don't know. I don't actually have an opinion. What I have an opinion about is that they wanted to interfere with my therapy because I didn't want to interfere with their therapy. That's what I'm disparaging about. They were very cross because this boy, he had a hemi-sided, one-sided weakness as a result of his head injury. And what he couldn't do, he wasn't connecting with his leg, right? This one leg, it was kind of lost to him. And so I was thinking of, we're working through ways where he could connect with it. Now, because he could control his trunk, which is quite common with that kind of weakness distribution, I was getting him to feel that if he pulled his pelvis back, his leg would, if you feel this on your tummy, if you draw your pelvis back, your leg would draw up. I think we did this the other day. Because the pelvis kind of directs the leg movement. You can push the leg forward, it can pull the leg back, and you're feeling this now, actually. Anyway, so he was doing this on his tummy, and I was doing it from basically it's a Feldenkrais kind of thing, but you can feel the biomechanics of it, right? That if you activate your pelvis to go back, your leg will draw up. Well, I got this anger from this other therapist because I was teaching him reptilian movements when he hadn't passed through the amphibious stage or something like this, whatever the species is before that. She was so angry with me, and it was like, oh my God. Anyway, so my disparaging is that she thought she owned this kid. That's my disparaging, if I'm really honest. I don't, I work with so many, alongside so many different practitioners who have so many different lenses. I'm not fussed by them. They're just different lenses. My threshold is if they charge a lot of money and make, massive promises, that's a threshold that I don't like people crossing. But apart from that, it takes many, there's many ways to skin a cat, and there's a lot of different ways of viewing the body. Chiropractors view anatomy in a completely different way to the way I was taught anatomy. It doesn't mean to say they're wrong. It's just different. They just have a different view of the spine. It's not wrong or right or anything. It's just different. Yes. No, not particularly. There's a logical sequence. There is a logic somewhere in there, but it doesn't mean that you can't go back and fill in the gaps like we're doing now. This is a point of contention. So one of my colleagues who works a lot with children, she always insists that if they haven't crawled, she'll take them back as adults to learn to crawl because she thinks it's really foundational. I don't particularly have that view, but there are some biomechanical things that are really interesting in any of those things that we've been exploring. Some of you will feel more or less connected to, and I can explain it in biomechanics. I can explain it in a neurological sense about why they're important. You could explain it in emotional development sense. You can explain it in whatever lens you like. It's just it's the sort of the most typical sequence that children do, but they don't all do the same thing. So some children don't crawl on their hands and knees. They walk like you guys are doing. They bear walk. Exactly. That's right. So is that wrong or right? It's whatever. He was brilliant, right? The point is he was brilliant and he made beautiful music that satisfied him. So from my point, my viewpoint around mobility is if a child makes a decision to walk on their hands and feet versus their hands and knees, and the outcome's good, they still get from the iPad to the TV. So to put it in the modern context, it's fine. What do you learn that's different? Well, one, you learn to kind of let your hamstrings have to lengthen a bit. So that's a nice thing about bear walking, like walking on 4 points, walking on 6 points, so your knees and feet and hands. You're very stable, but you're not as fast. So, they're all swings and roundabouts. And there's no agreement there in Feldenkrais about that from what's important biomechanically. You learn different things. So my point about that story, I don't know what the point is, that some people take this developmental sequence really seriously, like really seriously, to the point of being angry about it. We hold it very lightly, and you play with it, because actually that's what children are doing with these things. They're not taking them seriously and using them as a checklist, like, gee whiz, I've got to walk on, all fours now because that helps me shape the, the roundness of my acetabulum in my pelvis. They're not doing it. They're just playing, they're mucking around. And so for us, the foreground in this developmental sequence is that exploration and the possibilities, and noticing what these different positions and transitions offer us or don't offer us. If you can't lie comfortably on your tummy and get your head to the horizon, what does that mean for what you understand about your ability for your back to lengthen, or whatever it is? So we hold them quite lightly. Have I made my point somewhat clear? Have I come across as being a nasty know-it-all? There's room enough for all of us. Room enough for all these modalities. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. We're a big world. There's a lot of points of view, and just don't shit on my parade is what I'm saying. Don't be exclusive. There's room enough for all of us. So I do try. My intention is to not put other modalities down. I've chosen this modality as my modality du jour because I like it. I love it, actually, and it suits me, and that's fine. And if you choose osteopathy or chiropractic or physiotherapy or whatever it is, or shamanism or whatever, that's beautiful.
I think it's really important as well to be careful about putting out negative about other modalities or practices, because you have the power with your voice where the people are listening to you, and it's like kind of, not that you take it as gospel, but there's a lot of power there.
Yeah.
And I've experienced then the teacher not dissing out different exercise practices or this or that, and it's like you kind of want to go, well, maybe I shouldn't do that thing then, or
So you can call me out on it if I do it, because my voice is dramatic, to say the extreme, to say that whatever. So someone was asking me yesterday about gym. I personally don't go to the gym. What I understand of it, when people want to go to them, have the motivation to do it, that's a marvelous thing. And just so long as you understand what is different about the gym from Feldenkrais, as I said, is the machines are designed to constrain you. They're designed to do that because their purpose is to strengthen and isolate individual muscles and strengthen them. So it does that job beautifully. That happens to be somewhat different to the way we think in here, what we're after. You can go to the gym and use some of these principles. Not all of them are congruent, but you can use some of them. And it doesn't mean that I'm saying the gym is bad. It's just different. It's offering you a different thing. If you want to isolate muscles and strengthen individual muscles in that flexion extension way, that's marvelous. It's what floats your boat.
I was having this conversation with a practitioner back in Brisbane, and saying how come it is that some of these stretching activities and strengthening ones just actually leave you feeling so good. Like, how come that is,
Because it's movement. That's my short answer.
Well, she said a varied movement diet.
Yeah.
And
varied
I thought,
movement diet.
Isn't that nice?
Yep.
It's a varied diet.
Yep. Very,
Really like that.
And people love moving. So, there's lots of modalities that offer people that joy of movement.
Yeah.
And that's really, that unites us. And if we can see that, the sort of joy in movement, that's it's nice to find the uniting things, and that's
Yeah.
good.
And
You know,
I think
I don't identify with the ones where there's no joy. I
Yeah,
must admit.
that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if you do it from that perspective, that this is part of a varied diet
Yeah.
and part of just the experience of moving differently in different ways, it adds a lightness to it.
Yeah.
And so then that makes it enjoyable and
Yep.
takes the pressure away about, oh, I'm trying to build up my muscles, or I'm trying to
Yeah.
get really
Yeah.
fast, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do tease the students at home about this. Is it CrossFit or something? Because there's a CrossFit
yes.
thing across the road from me, and I know when it opens early in the morning because I hear all this grunting.
Yes.
You know, and they work really hard. Am I disparaging about that? I don't know. I mean, the young guy that runs it, I look at his body and I think I don't want a body like yours, because he's so overdeveloped. His shoulders, he's really stiff when he's walking, and I don't see a lot of joy in his movement. But that's okay.
Sweating's fun too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and one of my friends, she's introduced me to the delights of sweating in our walking group. You know, and this is a reframing thing. That I didn't, you know, I like swimming. Swimming is my medium. So, not, you know, and you don't get sweaty swimming. Well, if you do, you don't know. So when I go walking with my bushwalking buddies and I get sweaty, I don't like it. You know, you get sweaty easily in Adelaide. Sweaty, and you know, you're out of breath and you sort of feel all red and perspiry and blah, blah, blah. And you can see I didn't have a good relationship with that feeling, sweaty and red and blah. And then, you know, I was walking, she joined our group with her husband, and she goes powering up the hills, and she's just as sweaty and red and puffy as the rest of us. She's actually very fit, but she's like that. And she goes, "Isn't this marvellous?" And the first time I went, "You fucking crazy?" Like, no, excuse me. Like, no, this is not marvellous. This is horrible. Like, I feel really inadequate. I interpreted that as being inadequate. She interprets that feeling as being alive. And so I thought that is a really interesting concept, that feeling of puffing, really dragging in the air and sweating. So I've been really playing with that. And sometimes I still go, oh, God, you know, I've got to walk up a hill. But this playing with this, my feelings and my thinking around those sensations and flipping them, and it's great. So now I walk up and go, "This is marvellous." This is marvellous. If I keep saying it long enough, this is marvellous. So I get it, you know, like I'd put on her clothes for a while to see what where her viewpoint comes from, and it's terrific. So that's all we can do, isn't it? Is to listen to other people's viewpoints and try them on and see if they fit or not, or how often we'd need to try them on for them to fit. And that's then I'm not single-minded, am I? I am a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I am definitely a work in progress. Just like I'm cultivating introversion. I am a work in progress. I am learning to be comfortable in my own company. No, I am. It's getting easier every couple of months. It's getting easier. How do you find comfort in something that's not your pattern? That's how we use the method, right? That's how we use the method. I can wear a pink dress. This is my non-habitual. I don't wear pink and I don't iron dress. It's pink and it needs ironing, and I can wear it. And I can breathe in it. All right, so lie on your back. You too can wear pink dresses. Put that on your list of aims.